Coming up on this episode of the Mompreneur Show, I'm interviewing Prerna Malik, a wife, a mother, and an owner of Content Bistro, a content management, writing, and social media services for entrepreneurs. My name is Vicky, and this is the show that features amazing stories of the most remarkable mom entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Vicky. That's a lovely, lovely introduction. And I'm just very excited to be here and talking all things about running a business. Working with your husband and, just sharing all that I can with everyone here.
Thank you so much, sweetheart, for being on, because I understand it's really late at your end of the world, and I really appreciate your time. So, sweetheart, tell me, how did you start your business? What is your story? What has been your journey like?
So how it all started is that I had a personal blog called The Mom Writes, and I was growing really well, and we were, we had like a large and loyal readership, which kind of led to me getting assignments and projects on working on, social media and blogs and things like that. And it was going really well. But I'd never really considered, starting a full-time business. However, my husband, Mike, got really, really sick. And he had like chronic inflammation, which kind of meant that, he had to be at home. He had to be on bed rest for a really long time, and he had to quit his job, which in a way, though unfortunate, turned out to be quite a blessing in disguise for us, because we realized that we needed something that we would be able to do while building, a balanced life at home as well, without the stress of a corporate job, because stress, in fact, is one of the main reasons for chronic inflammation, as we learned. So, plus we had the skill sets for it, because Mike has an MBA from Cardiff, and I had a master's in English, and we, spent a lot of time learning about how, the online world worked. And one thing led to another, and we decided that, getting into this full time is the only way to do it.
Wow. So what do you mean about getting into this full-time? Is it getting into the online business? And what were your ideas? Did you have any idea of what you were going to do? Were you going to take your Mom Writes blog to full-time, or were you going to start something new?
No, we gave a lot of thought to both the things. We thought about taking the Mom Writes full-time, but then we also realized that we just didn't want it. We wanted a different brand. We didn't want the Mom Writes brand to be associated with our content marketing services, which is what we were, offering, and social media services. So we started a new site called Social Media Direct, and that was our base for working with business owners. The reason we decided not to go with the Mom Writes as a full-time thing is because, even though it was generating a decent income, is that having that as our brand would kind of, just categorize us as working only with mom business owners. And that's something that we didn't really want. We wanted to work with all small business owners, moms, dads, non-parents, so everybody, yeah.
Very interesting. So you said that the Mom Writes was already making an income, and so you already had the sweet taste of online entrepreneurship.
Yes. And that's why we, the first thing that when Mike had to quit, and he was sick, there was no way that I was going to go out and, get a job, because Manani was really young at that time, and I couldn't leave her home, and Mike was sick. And, so our first and our only option was to go go online. Yeah. And, we already had a good thing going in the sense that we did have a few client projects lined up, and we were getting regular, freelance assignments, and business was growing. The amount of projects that we were getting, they were growing. So it was kind of, already there, but we hadn't kind of given it a formal structure, which we then did when we launched Social Media Direct.
Very interesting. So what were the services that you were offering with Mom Rights?
With the Mom Rights, I was offering business blogging. I was doing ghostwriting for a lot of business owners. I was doing, I'd started doing social media management because I'd grown like a reasonable following on Twitter, and I was highly active. Like Twitter was in fact the first place that I got online. Facebook came later for me. But now I'm more in love with Facebook, clearly, and but yeah. So I was doing social media, and I was doing ghostwriting to start with the Mom Rights. But there were other income avenues with the Mom Rights because I had ebook sponsorships, I had sponsored posts, and the usual blog income avenues.
So you already had clients working for Mom Rights, right? And then how did you come up with the services? Was that your initial thing with Mom Rights? Like when you started the blog, that was your initial services? Or did you start off just writing and then picking up clients from there?
Yeah, no, I started out writing, and then I was guest posting in a lot of places. I was optimizing my site. I was, and I started applying for freelance writing jobs initially. And then once the site picked up, I had people reach out to me, which was, the first time it happened, it was really fun, and it kind of freaked me out. And I was like, oh my gosh, people are reading and are wanting to, work with me. And, so the first few clients we got were, people who were reading the blog, and they knew people who were looking for, folks to do writing. So that's pretty much how it started.
That's really amazing. So did they reach out? Sorry, I'm like totally picking your brain. Did they reach out to you on their own, or did you announce it like, hey, this is what I do, a service that I offer? So they reached out.
No, initially I did. Yeah. And once that started happening, that is when I started, announcing that, okay, hey, if this is what I do and this is what I offer, and if you want to work with me. So it was just initially, it was like, I think, a simple work with me page on the Mom Rights, and that's what it was. And that came after I started getting inquiries about people wanting to work with us for ghostwriting and things like that. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you started with doing writing for other people, and how did you go into social media and the other things that you do now?
Yeah, so social media also happened with someone reaching out and saying, okay, I'm doing like a Twitter party. Do you want to be a panelist? And then someone reaching out and saying, I'm doing so we have like a Twitter account, but we aren't doing much with it, but we see that you've been, really active on Twitter. Would you have any tips for us? Or would, and then when I shared tips, they were like, would you like to do it, manage it for us? And I was like, okay, yeah. So, and then I started learning a lot. I, started investing a lot of time into, just learning everything I could and being the best I could possibly be at pretty much everything that interested me, and which was because social, like writing, has to do a lot with content, and that is something that I am truly excited about. So once I started learning, then it was all really easy from there.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so I'm just gonna recap. So you had a blog that you were just writing, and what were you writing about?
Oh, it was like a personal blog. You could. In fact, I stopped it end of last year. I closed it down in the sense I've stopped blogging there because our current business has grown to the extent that I am not able to devote a lot of energy and time to it, and I don't really want to do that. But my blog was all about life as a mom, about being a parent, and I very imaginatively named it the Mom Rights because I initially envisioned it as being journal,
Online
and
journal.
I started it when Manini was like 8-9 months, in
So how
fact.
many years
So
ago was that?
She turned 8 this year,
Mm,
so that will be like 7.5 years
wow.
ago,
Wow.
approximately. Yeah.
Wow. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. So you're writing about your mom stuff, like
Yeah.
journey as a mom, and you started
Yeah.
sharing that online, and people started reading and they started being interested in your writing. They really enjoyed your writing and they started reaching out to you like, hey,
Yeah.
can you write for us?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then eventually that grew and people started asking you, you're really good at social media. Can you do that for me? And then you added
Yeah.
that to your services. So this is really, really inspiring. And so I can attest to this because I've seen when people ask in groups or friends and they say, hey, I'm looking for someone to manage my social media. All of a sudden, everyone says, oh my goodness, Prerna is amazing. Totally hire her. I've worked with her. So
Yeah.
that is amazing to have such word of mouth for you. So how would you say, how did you build that? Like, how did your clients start talking so much about you and love you so much? Because, I mean, I understand why they love you so much because you're such an amazing person. But what did you do to get their loyalty and then for them to go around and just talk so much good things about you? And then I can only imagine they're this like huge marketing machine for you now.
Thank you so much. And yeah, our word of mouth is one of the things that we, both Mike and I, really, really value. And it's been the number one, what I would call the number one way we built our business so far is through referrals and through word of mouth. And how did we do it? I think it's we just wanted to go out there and, like I said, be the best that we could be and do the best that we can do and bring results that really, really make a difference to people's businesses, free up their time, help them increase their traffic, get more engagement, on social or from their, from their blogs. So that is what that we just ensured that we did each time we went out, and, making sure that our clients would see that and would experience that. And even now, it's been like 5 years since we've been in business full time, and it's every time I get an email from someone saying that, hey, this is great. I just can't believe how amazing it is, or how I can't, recently someone sent me an email saying that you're the fairy godmother of sales pitch copy, and I was like, oh my gosh, because that is what I want. It's just what I want to do. I don't want everything else, everything else can come later, but your clients come first when you're a service provider. So ensuring that, they get absolutely delighted with what you give them is something that we aspire to do every time we bring on a new client. That's as simple as that. Yeah.
That's amazing. I would love if you could share your client intake. How do you go above and beyond besides your service? Do you send them a card or a gift? Like, do you do something special for them that many marketers don't do?
We are extremely flexible with our packaging, in the sense our packaging of services. No single client gets like a cookie cutter solution. Every single one of them gets something that's customized for their needs and for their budget, because as bootstrapping entrepreneurs ourselves, we started like, and we have shared this with you earlier. We started on like a shoestring budget. We started with a $0 budget, a big fat $0. Except for the hosting, we had no money to invest in our business. So we've been there, and we believe in giving clients a lot of flexibility with packaging and giving them the best possible solution in the budget that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this does mean that there are times that when we do need to, say no, because if it's something like really we can't work with, then yes, but for the most part, we go above and beyond to ensure that they have a package that would bring them results and would give them, would give them what they need, the time, the freedom, and the traffic in the budget that fits them. Besides that, our client intake is fairly simple because that's how we like to keep things. We have a straightforward questionnaire that goes out depending on what service someone chooses. But one of the things that we like to do is for us, it's all about relationships, So most of our clients end up becoming friends over years, Most of our friends end up becoming clients as well. So, it's about establishing a relationship. So even though we may not be working together, we love seeing what they're doing. We love sharing their stuff. We love, staying in touch, sending them, emails to find out how they're doing, if there's anything we could support them with. So those are, some of the things that have really, really helped us build relationships, because at the end of the day, that's what, really matters to us.
That's awesome. So you really, really invested the time and the energy into having good relationships with your clients. That's something that a lot of people undervalue. That's for sure. So how did your husband come into the business, and how did you guys make it one business? And tell me about his health. How did his health improve over the years, or tell me about that?
Yeah. So we decided, that we'd go into business full time because that was our only option. We had the skill sets, we had the desire. Mike always, in fact, wanted to be an entrepreneur. Me, honestly, not so much. So when people say that I really want to be I wanted to be an entrepreneur when I was 8, 9. I'm like, no, I always wanted a job because it was,
really?
Secure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, really. So when this turn of events happened, we decided that one of the things that we started doing and why we loved the online world so much is because I shared how my uncle was sick, on the mom rights, and people had been, bloggers and readers reached out to me sharing things that worked for them, and one of them, that's in fact Felicia Williams, she used to write a blog called No Job for Mom, which I used to read quite regularly. So she emailed me saying that, I think it has to do with the alkaline and acidic levels in his body. So, why don't you get some tests done and then, go from there. And that really helped turn things around for us because we realized that, our diet was highly acidic, and we started doing a lot of reading on, restoring the alkaline balance of our bodies and eating right and working on stress and mindset. So that really, really helped him. He couldn't walk, even like half a kilometer. And a year after we started making these changes, he was playing tennis.
Wow.
Yeah. It sounds really, incredible, but it was nothing short of a miracle for us, because that was such a huge wake-up call that, your diet makes such a huge difference. And of course, your mindset. And for that, that is one of the reasons why I tell people that I love the online world so much, because we were going to doctors and hospitals and getting tests done, and he was getting, different kinds of, he was having like a whole bunch of medicines, and nothing was working. And something as simple as this, which someone who I knew only online, and again, that's the power of relationships, so
very interesting.
Yeah. So that made a huge, huge difference. And yep.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's very valuable for us. And as you touched upon mindset, that mindset is important. So can you share a bit about that? Because I know that mindset is huge. I've experienced it myself, but how can one get started with getting their mindset? And what is that even? What are you even talking about? What do you mean by mindset? Please share. I'd love to hear.
Yeah. So we were in fact having a very interesting discussion, before I got onto this call. We went out to get some coffee, and because late here. So mindset for us is just what you think, your thought pattern, how positive, how negative it is, and that makes a huge difference to how you feel as a person, um, and I found that it works in so many different ways. I first got into thinking about mindset and how you think makes a difference is, again, when Mike was really sick, and we were just going through a whole bunch of books and reading a lot of stuff. Louise Hay, so I found someone referred her books to me, and I started reading, and I was like, okay, one could start changing one's thoughts, because honestly, when he was sick, my main thought pattern was, oh my gosh, he's so sick. How are we going to do this? How are we going to manage? How are we going to pay the bills? We're eating into our savings, and I was always under a huge amount of stress and only focusing on what's not going on, in my life, instead of focusing on what was going on. We were still alive. We were, we still had a roof over our heads. We were a family. We still had a lot of skills that we could use. And once I started changing that really helped me cope with the situation. It really helped him. So yeah, for us, mindset is essentially just thinking straight and, just keeping your head in the game. Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. It's really thinking about what is, not what might be, not from the fear of whatever might happen. So that was really powerful. Thank you so much. Yeah. I feel like mindset work is so important, but it's like, you always got to work on it. Like, you always got to make sure that you're thinking right, make sure that your thoughts are in the right place. So thank you so much for sharing that. So after he got better, how did he join your business? Was it like he had to, just because he didn't want to go back to a corporate world, or how did you talk about this? Because I know that, and we had Paulina on the show last time, and she shared with us how her and her husband work together too. And I feel like it's different for every couple, but I'm really curious on how he came on, and then what was going through his head, and then what about his dream? So if you could share that with us, I'd love that. I'd love to hear that.
So his dream really, like I said, was to be an entrepreneur, so he was in it from day one. Social media direct was totally his baby. Like I said, I was okay with, the mom rights, but, he was like, we need to get into this and we need to do it right. So he was in it from day one, and he basically helped, because he has this background in marketing and, with MBA and things. So he really helped me understand how to package things, how to price things, how to strategize, how to ensure that we grow year on year, so, and of course then, he's really, really good. He also enjoys social a lot. And so he was there, he was, helping with that as well, doing that as well, quite a bit of the content as well. So so yeah, we both actually equal partners. He has, a whole bunch of responsibilities, and I have mine. And this, in fact, is totally his dream, because I would sometimes, go like, okay, I think, I don't know if this is right. If you're, so that's why I say, mindset is really important. And he keeps bringing me back to that. You need to focus on growing. You need to focus on what's going really well for you, So yeah, so this is
very interesting. I love that. I mean, I love that it's his dream, and that you were both able to grow it together. So that's huge. So what does your typical day look like? Do you start the day together and start working on things? And how does it work with your daughter? Like, do you take her to school? Like, I'd love to hear a typical day routine.
So sure. Yeah. No, we don't start our day together. I'm an early bird, so I'm like up at like 4:30 in the morning, and yeah.
So this is very late for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, that's totally okay, really. So I start my day up at 4:30. So I work from, this is for a school day because our daughter goes to a private school. So I work from say 4:30 till about 7, which is when I wake up Marini. Mine gets up at around 6:30. But he doesn't get straight down to work. He kind of eases into the day. So after Mandy goes to school, then we sit down after we've done with breakfast and the house stuff and things like that. Then we sit down for work at 9:30, and then from 9:30 till about 2:30, 2:45, when she comes back, we're working together. But we take a few breaks in between and things like that. I prefer working on huge chunks at a go. He prefers working in smaller chunks, but that's just a slight difference in style. In the evenings, we divide our time because he takes Manini out for tennis and I use that time to work. And then he comes back with her, then I take over, and then he sits down for work. So we divide our time like that, yeah.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I know that every family, it looks different how people manage their time, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. And so how do you manage with the whole time difference with your clients? Is that the reason that well, not the reason that you're an early bird, but does it help that you're an early bird?
Yes, it does. And also, again, most of our clients are in Australia and in the US. So with Australia, the time difference, isn't really that much. It works pretty well. And with the US, most of our client meetings happen, a little earlier than this, around 9 a.m. Eastern, or even 7 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Eastern. So that kind of works well. For most of the content work, again, is done. Time difference really doesn't make a difference. But for social, we mix up scheduling with a bit of scheduling with more live posts, and again, we know when to send out posts and things like that. So that kind of works well. Yeah.
So how do you track when you put the live posts up? Do you have some kind of cues, alarm goes off, or how do you? Because if I go about my day and I'm consumed in different tasks and stuff, I don't remember to post. How do you that's why I'm so surprised that you post live, which is awesome. But how do you do that? When do you get that reminder?
So what we do is essentially, both of us, we split our work and we decide that who's going to manage who, and we focus on that particular client, and we have their schedule based on whatever are the best times to post for them, according to their insights and analytics. So so once we know that, then and that's one of the reasons, why we're very, very selective. And also we don't like taking on huge amounts of work, because for us, again, like I said, it's about relationships. It's about ensuring results. And we can do that only when we, give full and complete attention to each and every client. Yeah.
That's powerful and so important. So what would you say? Oh, Natalia has a question. How long did it take you to manage an income on Mom Writes and Content Bistro?
Good question. Okay. For the Mom Rights, I would say I was making an income, I think after year one, I think. Somewhere during year one, actually. Yeah. I'd started getting a few writing assignments, and and I started applying for writing jobs, and that was working out really well. So yeah. So that was during the first year. And Content Bistro was an income generator right from day one, because we already had clients, So it was a business making money from day one. Yeah.
No, that's a really good question and a really good answer. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's wonderful to hear that, you've been able to monetize since in the first year, which is not very common nowadays. And I feel like it's because of the saturation of blogs in a way. because you started at a really, really good time 7 years ago. And if you transfer to now, you can still make it happen. But I feel like you really have to hustle.
Yep, I agree. Also, and this is something I tell a lot of people. When we started out, we took a lot of jobs, okay, and we did a lot of work, and a lot of business gurus, so to speak, would say that, okay, no, you need to charge your work and things like that. For us, it was really important to establish a base and to establish a clientele and to, start getting the word out there about work. So yeah, so we just did, we just took on work, and I don't think we ever said no.
Wow.
To anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say is a good way for somebody to start? Because I assume that when you was starting Mom Writes, you were writing and stuff, and then did you have an idea like, oh, eventually I want to write for others? Eventually I want to start. Like, did you have that in mind, or did it just come?
No, not really. I did not think that I want to write for others. When I started writing, I was just dying to do something that was, that was more creative and more more grown up, in fact, then, because I was at home and I'd been working, I'd been in corporate all my life. And when I conceived, I quit my job because I wanted to be at home with Manini, and both of us, Mike and I, had decided that that's how it would be. So we, but then she was 9 months, and I was at home for 9 months, and the 9 months before that, so it was like 18 months, and it was driving me crazy. So I needed an adult activity that would keep me creative. So my first thing was to just write. Just like I said, I didn't give much thought. I had no idea what a blog is and how it works and things like that. But yeah, so
very interesting.
When it started growing, that's when I saw that, okay, it has income potential, and then I started learning stuff. So yeah.
So what the message I'm hearing for all of you watching live and watching post show is to just start. You really never know where your blog will take you. And I feel like a blog is a really good start, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, especially if you just want to, feel the water and see how you like to blog. And I feel like if you start a blog, just start it and do the work, and things will come up, opportunities will come up, and you will move to the next stage. Because I feel like so many of us don't start because of the fear of what's coming or because of the uncertainty. But don't let that uncertainty hold you back. Just do what you know is right at this moment. And so, Prerna, let me ask you one more question. So when you were starting out, and of course, the question just completely flew out of my head, but it was a really juicy one. So 1 second.
I'm going to take a minute and respond to Natalia.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Was it about the mom writes, if she blogs on it anymore? You can respond in
okay, over here. All right. So
via voice, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Natalia, I stopped blogging at the Mom Writes last year. It was a business decision we took because Content Bistro is growing, in fact, at a really fast pace, which is a huge blessing for us. And we just weren't being able to do justice to the Mom Writes. And as you already know, unless you can give your 100% to something, is we just don't feel that it's right to just keep pulling it along and just filling it with filler content. It's not going to. That's something that both Mike and I weren't comfortable with at all. So yeah, it was a hard, very, very hard decision, and one that I've reconsidered many times because I got a lot of emails. But no, I'm not writing Mom Writes not any longer. Yeah.
Thank you so much for answering that. I really appreciate it. So I totally remember my question, and it's more for so I'm going to explain it really quick, but it's more for the audience that we have a lot of mommy bloggers in here, and those who just started their blogs, and in the beginning, it's really tough to write consistently. And so this is bringing me to your question is, how often did you blog? Were you consistent in it? And how many times a week did you do that?
Oh, I changed constantly. I think when I started, I'm not very sure, but when I started, it was, I think, thrice a week. Yeah. And then by the time, by last year, I'd again gone back to thrice a week, but in the middle, I'd gone to once a week. However, what I would recommend is once you decide on a schedule, then the best thing is to stick with it. And initially, when you're starting out, unlike me, where I was just posting random stuff without much thought behind strategy and things like that initially, since you're now at a stage where there's a lot of good information about blogging out there, focus on creating great content and doing it consistently. So just I would say go with say at least once a week, if not more, but ensure that every single piece of content that you put out there has a purpose.
I love that. Thank you so much. That's really helpful, and I'm sure that it's very helpful for those that are listening in. Thank you so much, Prerna. You have been such a blessing, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Vicky. This was really, really fun.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that episode with Prerna. Please join us live next time, every single Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. My name is Vicky Lashenko, and this is the show that features amazing stories of remarkable mompreneurs. I will see you next time.